Mr. MegaManFan, and welcome back to Genesis Does, where today we're looking at an intriguing game called Oh Mummy. It's an Amstrad CPC game that was ported to Sega Genesis much later. It was made by Amsoft in 1984 and often included free with the computer. The gameplay has been described as being similar to Amadar, but I haven't played Amadar in so long that I really can't say if that's accurate or not. What I can say is it's a standard maze traversal game like Make Tracks or Pac-Man. You know the type where you have to clear all of the lines in the maze, either picking up or putting down tracks wherever you go. In this case, your footprints are the tracks, as you are an archaeologist who is exploring an ancient pyramid, but there are mummies haunting the pyramid, trying to prevent you from getting the treasure. And how do you get the treasure? You cover every single space in the maze. When you circle all the way around a tomb with your footprints, it reveals what is inside the tomb. So it's a very simple game. You don't need to know any button combos. In fact, the A, B, and C and start really don't do anything. You just hit start to start the game. You hit start to play. You hit start to restart. You don't really need the buttons for anything other than that. You're using the D-pad the entire time to encircle these tombs while avoiding the mummies. And to keep it spicy, they change things up. The layout of the tombs stays the same from level to level, but one level is water-based, so you can't see your footprints to know if you've encircled the tombs or not. One is in the dark, so you're not able to see anything, the tombs or yourself. And one has a tornado that comes through and wipes away your footprints. Apparently they're in the dust in the tombs, so when it blows the dust around, your footprints get covered up. There are also penalties in the game that will impede your progress. For example, one of the treasures that's hidden inside one of these tombs actually screws up your D-pad and makes every directional input you pick the opposite of the one you selected. You hit left, you go right, you hit down, you go up, and so forth. It wears off after a little while, so I guess it's like the Pharaoh's curse. You've been cursed, and you eventually recover from that curse. Also, if a mummy makes line of sight with you and vice versa, you kind of freeze in your tracks and shiver for a little bit in terror. And if they're really close to you when that happens, they'll get you and you'll lose a life. But if you're not, you can recover and get away from the mummy. So there is that as well. It's a simple game, but I think it's a fun game. I can see why they would have included it bundled in with Amstrad CPC computers, because it's the kind of thing that would instantly be addictive to somebody that had just a keyboard and a space bar to hit to start the game or return or whatever function key would do that. You could play it with just arrow keys and one key to start the game. And that's really what you're doing with the Genesis here as well. You're just using the D-pad and one key to start the game. I imagine this could be ported to just about anything in existence. I can't imagine there would be much complication even on something with relatively low power. It's like Tetris in that respect. If you get the basics of this game down, you could probably put it on any computer with a graphical display output, either built-in or external, that could render the graphics of the game. I imagine somebody like the 8-bit guy could even program it for a Commodore PET computer that had no sprites whatsoever. You could use all text and create the maze and the mummies that are tracking you down, and the graphics that would show when you encircle a tomb to indicate that you've cleared that part of the maze. It seems endlessly portable to me. Now, for whatever reason, the Wikipedia entry doesn't mention that there's a Sega Genesis port of Oh Mummy, but it clearly exists because I'm playing it, so we're going to have to dig a little bit deeper. Let's see what Oh Mummy Genesis turns up. Aha! The reason Wikipedia doesn't have an entry for it is it's an unlicensed game. It was released by 1985 Alternativo, which we saw in the credits at the beginning, in October 2012, and it serves as an unofficial update to the original Oh Mummy from 1984. It was released in freeware in 2013 when stocks of the boxed cartridge of the game ran out. So I guess they actually made a physical version of it for at least a little bit. Yes, according to Retro Megabit, it was indeed sold physically in 2012 for $50 Canadian, but the print run apparently ran out pretty quickly and it was on a site in Spain to boot, so I'm sure some people were completely caught off guard by that and didn't even know to go to a Spanish website to find it, and he says he didn't know to get it there either, so he bought it in an eBay auction for $70. 70 Canadian. Whatever that would have been in 2013 dollars. I don't know. I think like 1.2 Canadian dollars to $1 US is about the usual rate. Sometimes as high as $1.30, sometimes a lot lower, depending on economic global conditions and the political climate and a bunch of other things you don't care about. Anyway, Oh Mummy also has boss stages, as you can see from this giant winged feral cat that's chasing me all around the screen. And I guess if you collect all the treasures, you can kind of launch a counterattack against the pharaoh, but it appears you need to do this multiple times in order to get the boss off your back, and it's hard to collect all the items when it is constantly hovering over them every time you try to move. But to make a long story short, Oh Mummy, since it's now readily available as freeware, is a game you should probably check out, at least in emulation, if not perhaps a physical copy, although Retro Megabit does note that you wouldn't necessarily want to spend $70 Canadian on it, given that the gameplay is somewhat simplistic compared to other games that would fetch that kind of price, but he does note that it is fun to play, so since it's freeware, go ahead and play it. In fact, do it in emulation right now, or put it on an SD card and put it on a compatible device like an EverDrive or your Analog Mega SG or whatever you've got. It looks like you should be able to play this one to your heart's content. It's simple, but it's fun. And sometimes that's all video games need to be. The graphics are well done, the sound is acceptable, the background music is a simple loop, but it gets the job done. It definitely invokes that Egyptian theme. I like this one. Oh Mummy for Sega Genesis. Thanks for watching.
Genesis does. Genesis does. Genesis does. Genesis does. Genesis does. What Nintendo